Yeah.
Okay. So, hi everybody, and welcome to this webinar by our very distinguished um, Professor Luiza Moreira, and she is joining us all the way from New York. So, let me just begin with a brief introduction of Professor Moreira. She's a professor of comparative literature at the State University of New York, Birmingham. She joined the Birmingham faculty as associate professor in 2001, and she previously held the position of assistant professor of Portuguese and Brazilian literature at UC Berkeley, and from 92 to 95, and Princeton from 1995 to 2001. And she did her graduate work in comparative literature at Cornell, graduating in 1992. Her scholarship explores Brazilian literature in relation to broader contexts. More recently, she organized a collection of essays on world literature, premises and problems, which is published by SUNY Press in 2021. Her current research project discusses the literary relationships between the American poet Elizabeth Bishop and Brazilian modernist poetry. So her research interests are world literature, Brazilian literature, literatures of Americas, and literature and history. So this is a very brief introduction of our dear Professor Moreira. So I guess I would say over to you, Professor Moreira.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for this generous and very welcoming introduction. And thank you for the invitation to speak to you. And thanks to everybody who is connecting on a Saturday morning, which is uh, not a weekday.
Yeah,
And
it is not, but we are privileged because it's your night time. I can understand it must be very tough.
um, I have a PowerPoint to show you and maybe some clips of videos. Let's see.
Mhm.
And feel free to interrupt me anytime with any questions.
Sure. And
So
I would advise the students to just jot down your questions. So we will have an uninterrupted um, lecture or a talk by Professor Moreira, and then you will be you can switch on your mics and then ask the questions. I would allow you to do that. Right? For now, please keep your mics off, muted. Yes.
okay, so let me try to show you the slides in my PowerPoint. And now I really would like to have it, no, here, view uh, slideshow. So can you see it now?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
that's very visible. Yes.
okay. So that's my title. And I will be discussing a film that has been from Brazil that has been very successful, the book that is at the basis of the film, and also an official report from a truth commission of the Brazilian government. So that discusses the same facts. So here are this is a scene from the film. The actress, her name is Fernanda Torres, and she won the Best Actress, a Golden Globe, a US prize in 2025 for her portrayal of Eunice Paiva, who is historical character. And the whole film won the Oscar for Best International Feature Film last year. So the director's name is Walter Salles. He has done a number of well-known films. The first one was Central Station. And the writers, there's three writers for the film: Murilo Hauser, Heitor Lorega, and Marcelo Rubens Paiva. So I highlighted Marcelo Rubens Paiva's name because he is the author of the memoir, and he's also the son of the character whose story is told in the film. His father's name was Rubens Paiva.
Okay.
And actors, one thing Fernanda Torres is the mother of the family, Celton Melo is the father. She portrays Eunice Paiva, the mother. Celton Melo portrays Rubens Paiva, the father, and this Fernanda Montenegro is a distinguished Brazilian actress, and she appears at the end of the film portraying Eunice Paiva in her old age. And one of the differences between the film and the memoir is that in the memoir, towards the end, discusses the final days of Eunice Paiva. She was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and her son details the way the family cared for her and her illness in a very candid way, and it's very difficult, but very, very loving. But the film presents Fernanda Montenegro portrays Eunice Paiva in her old age and with Alzheimer's, but it's more brief than it is in the memoir. And the setting is in Brazil, beginning in 1971 and coming all the way to 2018. So I'd like to share a little. The next slide has the sources. Besides the film, the sources that the film relies on for the story of Rubens and Eunice Paiva. 2014, there is this report from the National Truth Commission, and I'm quoting here the law that created the Truth Commission, and the goal was to examine and bring to light a pattern of grave violations of human rights that took place in Brazil between 1946 and 1988, in order to effect the right to memory and historical truth and promote national reconciliation. So this Truth Commission was instituted by initiative of a president of a democratic government. And I'll get to the chronology of changes in Brazilian government in the next slide. And the other 1 year afterwards, we have the memoir. And Marcelo Rubens Paiva, by that time, in 2015, was already very well known. His first book was a bestseller, also memoirs. And the English translation of these memoirs, the I'm Still Here, is forthcoming in October. So maybe you get a chance to read.
Yeah, sure. I would love to have one copy for that.
And now, hang on. Yes. So here is the chronology. Can you see the whole slide?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So on the left side, I have the political history of Brazil. So Jango Goulart was the president from 61 to 64. He was democratically elected. He was elected as vice president, but the president resigned, and Jango Goulart became the president. And Rubens Paiva, the father, was a politician and in the same political party as Jango Goulart. Now, 64, there's a military coup, and Rubens Paiva, who was representative in the House of Representatives in federal, in Congress, uh, was stripped of his position, and he had many adventures. He hid in an embassy, then they took a plane for out of the country, then they came back to the country and went on with his life. He um, didn't go back to being a politician. Now, in terms of Brazil, the military dictatorship began in 1964 with the military coup, and I was 8 years old, and it ended in 1985, and by that time, I was already married and out of the country. So in 1988, there is a new constitution. And from then on, the country is run through democratic elections. So it's been almost 40 years now.
Mm.
And in the blue side, the other side, is the chronology of the texts that we're looking to. I'm Still Here, the story of both the film and the memoirs begin in 71, so during the military dictatorship. And the national, and what happens is I don't remember anymore in what order I'm telling the story, but in what order the slides are, but I'll tell you now that what happened in 1971 is that the father of the author is taken to prison, and he, as often happened to political prisoners during the Brazilian dictatorship, he's tortured. And something that is unusual is that he died. And the government didn't acknowledge that he died. And the family had to
The
wait.
government did not acknowledge. Can you repeat that?
No, the government cover up the death.
Okay, okay.
And the family and everybody had to wait to have the facts for the report of the National Truth Commission in 2014. So it was a long time.
Oh.
And Marcelo Rubens Paiva's memoir is published after the report of the commission, and he counts on the report, and also family histories, his experience, the people he knew. But by the time his memoirs are published, there's a public report on what happened. Okay, and here is when I was going to tell you a lot of things that I didn't yet. And I'd like to say a few things about, the story that they found out is that he was, and the film shows when the military police arrive in the family house and asks the father to accompany them to well, to answer their questions. And the father gets ready, dresses with a tie, and gets into his car and goes to uh, and goes to the police to answer questions. And that's the last time that anybody sees him, or anybody in the family. So the last time his wife sees him, the children see him. Um, the film, the the film is the first the first third of the film focuses on the family life when the family was together. It's he Rubens Paiva is an engineer. He's a businessman. He's well-to-do. They live in a lovely house by the beach in Rio de Janeiro, and they have also, and it's a very happy life. So the first third of the movie is almost idyllic, and I wanted to show you a little piece, uh, a little snippet of the film,
Sure.
of this first third of the film. Now, I have to come here, and I have to share. So the two younger children are coming home after they've been on the beach enjoying a sunny day. And the young boy is the only son in the family, and who is the one who's going to grow up to write the memoirs.
Okay.
Okay, sharing. No, come on. Can you see the film?
No, you have you shared your screen?
Share screen. Hang on. I thought I was sharing my screen. No, I did not share my screen.
Right.
Share. Now, can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, so this young boy here
Yeah.
is the writer.
He's the writer.
He's the writer. He'll grow up to be the writer.
All right.
The story is that the boy found a stray dog on the beach and decided he was going to adopt a dog. Stop sharing. Here we go. Did I stop sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know what I have to do now. I have to go here. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to make sure that my laptop is charged.
Okay. No problem.
Okay. Seems to be working now. So this is, a happy family scene.
Okay.
And soon afterwards, it's interrupted because with the arrival of the police. And the next 2/3 of the movie are focused on the mother. And because she was left in a very difficult situation, because she was a mother and a homemaker. She didn't have an income, and she didn't have a job, and she had 5 children. And the youngest ones were 10 and 11. And because his death was covered up, she didn't have a death certificate. So she couldn't have access to his money. She couldn't inherit. So she was in a real difficult position. And the film follows as she keeps the family together. She seeks to find out what happened to her husband. She becomes one of the faces of the advocacy for human rights during the military dictatorship. And eventually she becomes a lawyer. She goes back to college. she becomes a lawyer and she begins to practice law, and she becomes very interested in the rights of indigenous populations in Brazil, and she becomes a very well known for her work defending the rights of the indigenous. I wanted to show you part of the director prepared the video where he talks about the turning point in the film. So I said 1/3 is this idyllic family life, and the rest of the movie focuses on the mother and how she kept the family together and rebuilt her life. And it's very noticeable. I think that the writer, one of his comments was that I thought I was writing a memoir of my father, but by the time I was done, I realized that my mother had become the hero of the story.
Yeah, it's true.
So, and the director picked up the scene when that for a turning point of the movie, the scene when the police arrive at the family house, and we move from the harmonious family life to the tough times.
Mm-hmm.
And I can show you a snippet of that.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a little bit while I try to find a good passage to show you.
You have to first share your screen. I'm just reminding.
I can't find it. That's the problem. I have all those. Here. I found it. Let me find a good passage, and then I'm going to show you.
I'm sure my students, there would be many questions, because there are many questions are popping up in my mind already, because I'm teaching them world literature in translation, and I've been teaching them Caribbean literature and South American literature. Many of the writers we have been studying. Yeah.
I would love to hear
yeah.
your readings. Okay, so this is the scene that the director chose as the turning point, and the voice that we're going to hear is the voice of the director. And I'm going to jump a few passages, okay?
All right, yeah, sure. But I hope you have shared your screen. You haven't shared your screen as yet.
Okay. Okay, sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Here, and how a family life, and now I share. Okay.
Yeah.
Do here.
Let's jump to the end. And I stop sharing, right? Stop sharing. And I go to the right window. Okay. So this was the last time that she saw her husband. And after that, he disappears. I wonder if you have comments on the scene that you just said, that you just saw.
Well, of course, this is like very picturesque depiction, and I think something that we can all relate with. And that's all for now. I'll just save my message in my question, inshallah.
Okay, so I'll continue. I have more information on. Okay, so I said after that he disappears. So let me give a little more information because on what the use of this word disappeared. First I share screen, then I go to the PowerPoint.
Mhm.
And yes, I share the PowerPoint. Yes. Okay. And so the disappeared. So this was a term that was used very often because political prisoners often were not seen again. The author's mother, Eunice Paiva, who became a spokesperson for human rights, her son in his memoir says that she always said, she had something that she always said about the disappeared, and this is the quote that I picked up. The tactic of political disappearance is the most cruel because the victim seems to be still alive in day-to-day life. The victim is killed and his family is condemned to an eternal psychological torture. We act strong, we say that life goes on, but we can't help but live with this feeling of injustice. And this is a speech that is reproduced in the film.
Mhm. Okay.
Now, in the memoirs, the writer tries to makes an effort to put this idea of the disappeared in a broader context. So that's I have a couple. No, I have one quote. Virgílio Gomes da Silva Jonas was the first in the wave of political disappearances that began in Brazil in 1969. Between 1970 and 71, 15 disappeared. Afterwards, there was a jump to 140. The dictatorship adopted a systematic practice of executions and disappearances. It's impossible to calculate how many. If we add to that the number of indigenous villages, decimated tribes, which disappeared in the expansion of agricultural frontiers and the occupation of the Amazon by the military, the number becomes enormous.
Mhm.
So this is something that I think I'm going to leave as a question for you.
Yeah, so it is raising many questions, of course, and I'm sure the audience and the students would be definitely joining for the questions. So, you're just pausing it here. Should we begin with
Well,
that?
there's a couple. I have a couple more quotes. What I guess I have a question for you. The writer expands this this view of the disappeared, and the question is, if you were judging from the film alone, would you be able to tell that?
The question is that if you're say it once again.
Yeah. The writer expands and gives extra information about the disappeared.
Mhm.
Now, the film doesn't give extra information because the film focuses on the family only.
Okay.
It's about what is gained and what is lost in
Mhm.
this difference between the film and the memoirs.
I think that the film is more contained, and it has to be because it's a cinematic depiction,
Mhm.
and it always has to show smaller canvas than a larger picture, which a writer has the liberty to write about. And of course, it is writers when they're writing, and especially in this memoir, as you just point out, he is like, of course, he is broadening the canvas because many around the world can relate with the situation.
Ah,
Yeah, many countries, many realms around the world can relate with these situations. Many people around the world can relate with this situation. So of course, that's like memoirs or writing is a more broader and a more universal, has more universal appeal as compared to the film or cinema, because cinema has to focus on one thing. Otherwise, you know,
yeah, yeah,
kinds of a
doesn't
bit
tell the story.
indoor, and it becomes unmanageable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some questions that I think are not entirely answered, even now,
Yeah.
uh, with the memoirs, with the film, with the report. I think a big question that I'm left with is, why did Rubens Paiva do what he did? Why was he taken to prison? There's many. Yeah, the first question is, why is it that he was taken to prison? Because there's the mother has one explanation. The film's explanation is similar to the mother's,
Mhm.
and the memoir has at least three. So I
Okay.
got,
Yeah, and the memo has got three explanations of the father being taken away.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, what are they?
Mhm. Okay, the first slide uh, is that the film shows that the father Rubens Paiva was an intermediary for messages that were from people who were in exile to their families. So the
Okay.
people in exile would send messages to Brazil, and he would pass them on to the families, to their families. And the film shows that the mother had no idea of what the father was involved in. It
Mm,
was She was actually taken to prison. She and one of her second daughter, the day after he was taken to prison. And her daughter was released the next day, but she was in prison for 2 weeks, and she was interrogated, and she had no answer to give because she didn't know anything. Uh,
mhm.
and after, and she didn't know that, and they have been able to establish the timeline with with all the investigations. And her husband died the night after he was taken to prison. So she was in prison, and he was already dead.
Oh, okay.
When she was released, the film shows that she tries to get information. And she talks to a friend, she finds a woman who knew him, and she finally pieces together the information that he was an intermediary for messages.
Mm.
And that would have been enough for somebody to take to prison, uh, to be taken to prison. Now, the more memoir stresses that even now there are uncertainties and gives more than one explanation. Here's the first explanation. The information we have now has reached us over the years, not in months. I met Heleninha Bocaiúva, a key person in my father's imprisonment. She told me that after the American ambassador had been kidnapped, her name became known to the police because her name was on the lease of the house where the ambassador had been kept.
Mhm.
My father, so my father let her hide in an apartment he had in São Paulo. He would visit her at times, taking supplies, until he succeeded in getting her out of the country through Chile. She had
Mhm.
written one of the letters that caused him to be taken by the police.
Mhm.
So here he is more involved with the left wing groups that oppose the dictatorship um, than the film shows him to be.
Okay, okay, yes.
Um, and two more explanations in the memoirs. Some believe that he was so violently tortured because while he was serving in Congress in 1963, my father had been the leader of the investigative committee that looked into the transfer of American funds to representatives in the Brazilian Congress and others who sought to destabilize the government of President Jango Goulart.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one, others believe that he had information to give on Adriano, alias of Carlos Alberto Muniz, a leader of the clandestine left group MR8, and known to Carlos Lamarca at the time the most sought after fugitive in the country. So
Okay.
this is an armed struggle group that was decimated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the mother is firm for, here's what the son has to say about the mother. For her, my father was a politician who had been stripped of his office by the dictatorship, who was taken to prison because he tried to help a friend's daughter, a young woman who had sent a thank you note from Chile, which had been intercepted because of carelessness on the part of her organization.
Mm-hmm.
So different explanations by different people, and it's difficult to know because a lot of it is rumor,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a final, for me, there's a final unanswered question that is not answered by the book and not answered by the film. So why did Rubens Paiva take such risks? He was a father of five, and
Mm-hmm.
he was the sole breadwinner of his family. He was an engineer in prosperous businessman. Why did he risk all that? The film shows lots of conversations between Rubens and friends, and his friends are telling him, the situation is getting bad. I'm going to go into exile. I'm going out of the country. And Rubens answers, no, I'm staying here. So why?
Yeah, that's really a really a thought-provoking question. And, that should be should have been answered in the memoir, or at least touched upon.
Well, the what the son says is that he thinks his mother could never forgive his father for risking all that.
For risking all that, yes.
So maybe it's inevitable that we lack insight about his motivation.
Mm-hmm.
After all, the author of the memoir was 12 years old when he lost his father. But
Mm.
even so, it's a big, I feel it's a big
Question.
emptiness in the middle, a big question that is left by the
Yeah,
memoir.
that's a big question. Yes, certainly. Because if you even if you have to take risks, you should be taking calculated risks in a situation like this. Um, so I will. Should I open the floor
Done.
for questions,
Yes.
comments? Yes. So the audience, please raise your hand if you would like to have any questions. If you have any questions, comments. And please keep your questions very brief. And yeah, that's it. While they're formulating their questions, I'm just going to start with myself, you know, because I'm teaching them this world literature and translation, and yours, Yani, this memoir, as well as the its movie depiction. It really, spoke to us, because we have just finished uh, with the Caribbean literature, some authors from the Caribbean literature, and we just finished with Kafka and Camus. And you know, this seems that Kafkaesness, or Kafka's world, has never left the stage of the world.
It's a great coincidence. I just finished Kafka with my students last week.
Okay. So I also finished it in the last Tuesday class. So it's like this. It is a Kafkaesque world,
Yeah.
and it is, and time and again we think that, oh, what a great writer he was, in the sense that, like, whatever he's given to the world is so true, even if this is 21st century.
Yeah.
Right? And see, this movie, like this fiasco, it started in 1971.
Yeah.
The report comes out in 2014. Just imagine how much time, 45 years, after 45 years, or 44 years, 43, around that time. And then his memoir comes a year later. And then the movie comes 10 years down the line, which is getting the award and all those things. So these are not individuals, these are not individual happenings. This is something, it's a pattern against, which is something which is used against humanity all the time. And, if we are naive enough, we are like the protagonist,
Yeah, we're totally caught. Now, you talked about Kafka, and I can't resist mentioning another Brazilian memoir. The title is simply K.
Okay.
By Bernardo Kucinski. It's the story, his sister disappeared, and it's the story of his father trying to find out what happened to her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in our part of the world, like, we have been dealing, for example, there's this very famous and world famous poet, Faiz Ahmed Faiz, which I would be doing in translation with my students in some time. So he was a friend of Carlo Coppola, and one of his essays of Carlo Coppola, Yani, is anthologized in one of the books, and it is such a telling essay about the writings of Faiz. And similarly, likewise, Faiz Ahmed Faiz was incarcerated many times for his poetry. And it was a kind of a very revolutionary poetry that he was doing, and that was the bane, that became the bane, his bane. Similarly, of course, there's a memoir of Kashmiri writer back in 2005, and it is like My Days in Prison. And right now he's residing in Turkey, because there's no space for him to live in his own hometown in Kashmir. So it's like, it's such a universal story. And it's me who's talking. I would like to engage the audience because we have very less time for Q&A. Because we are really grateful to you. It is very late in the hour for you, especially. It's past midnight, almost the next morning. So yes, please, anybody who'd like to have a question, or you can just send me in the chat box. that would do. I'll,
I'd love to hear from you guys.
yeah, yeah, that would be. Come on, nobody has any question or any comment?
You asked,
Hello, how are you,
hi,
ma'am?
Yeah,
yeah,
My name is Gulnaz.
hi, Gulnaz.
he's a colleague of mine. Yes, please. Gulnaz, go ahead, please.
Ma'am, the film sheds light on often overlooked experiences of individuals and families affected by state violence. How does I Am Still Here contributes to ongoing debates on transitional justice, memory, and human rights that are right now present in post dictatorship Brazil and in other countries as well? Can we relate it?
This movie to discussions about justice and reparation, or I don't know. I think that the this film was so successful internationally because it seemed to be now talking about an experience that is shared all over the world, that people can recognize all over the world, a little like Rabia was saying. Um, and uh, how does it contribute to justice in Brazil? The film itself, I don't think. I mean, the film is educational, actually. I was very surprised of how many people said to me that they lived through these times and they didn't know anything.
Mm.
So uh, it's very important to have this stories and this time be talked about broadly in Brazil. Be part of something like public discourse, collective memory, not just something that small group of people in the know about. I don't know if
Mhm.
I answered your question.
Yeah. So we have got two questions lined up. One is there's a hand raise, and there's Dr. Shazia Rose's question. Shazia, would you like to speak it out, or should I just speak it for you? And she's asking that
Truth,
um,
truth and
is this ever in this ever-changing world, our truths are given less importance than the state enforcements? What do you say? And truth and free speech seem to be just empty words. So, uh, your comment.
well, the state repression is something that we can't take lightly. It's and we also, I think, speaking like a Brazilian, it's not something that we can say uh, it's in the past. It
Yeah.
can can come back every time, which I guess makes a movie like this makes it clear why a film like this is important, because it makes us aware of the past, and it makes us aware of the strength of state enforcement, and makes us better prepared to live with it.
Yeah, of course. So, like,
That I don't know.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. So, Iqbal, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so very much, uh, Professor Moreira. I would like to ask a question, as there is a coincidence that I'm also supposed to teach world literature in translation here in this semester, and I'm just launching up upon Kafka. There are several questions which remain unanswered, even when one comes to close the Kafkaesque situation, but the problem remains there unanswered. So here my question is that in today's highly bureaucratic and technologically controlled world, do you think the sense of helplessness and unanswered questions experienced by like characters in Kafka's The Trial and The Metamorphosis has become even more relevant? And we all the time, relating the situation here in our own areas. How can Kafka help us understand modern feelings of confusion and powerlessness? So this is my question. Thank you so much.
Modern, modern feelings of helplessness, right? Yeah, it's his theme, isn't it? I know I was reading with the students. I was reading Metamorphosis, and it begins. It begins. He woke up as a vermin, as an enormous vermin. It's really more helpless than that is difficult to imagine. But something that always surprises me. I don't know how you're going to feel about this, Iqbal, but my students love Kafka.
Yeah.
They
Yes, very right, ma'am.
Because he's so relatable. His work is still so relatable.
yeah, and it's
so
fun.
relatable.
He's telling us those terrible stories, and somehow he gets
He's relatable, increasingly so in this.
increasingly.
Yeah, that's why you can't escape this Kafkaesque world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are about to the time is about to be up. Is there any other question anybody would like to ask?
Yeah, Kafka touches something that not everyone is capable of voicing.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's true.
For him,
Farheen has a question in the comments. I missed it, perhaps. Farheen Shakir, she has a question. How does this pave the way for women's right and the acknowledgement of their presence in the society? Does it do that also? The memoir.
Oh, I think it does. I think it does, because it really it tells the story of a very strong and successful woman who dealt with enormous adversity, and succeeded. One of the thoughts that the son shares in the memoirs that is not really clear in the film, couldn't be, I don't think, is that he wonders what his mother's life would have been like if she hadn't lost her husband. Different.
Yeah. So that it addresses this point, of course.
Yeah.
Because she had to face all those things all alone and to raise a family. Yeah, that's true. So if we can have one last question, or otherwise we'll just call it a day. I'm just wondering if anybody has any question. There's nothing written here, so nobody's raising their hands. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time and for bringing us something which is so relatable. And I'm sure that I think Dr. Shaheen has something to say. Yes, please. You want to say something, Dr. Shaheen?
Yeah, ma'am. Obviously, this was a great, watch, and it was illuminating. I am, orientating myself to these studies. I don't have a question, but it is a comment. It's for you and for our HOD and for the presenter. It went great, and I added to my knowledge a lot of new things about literature and about memoirs, and when they are adapted for films, how they give us a nuanced presentation of the things, which as a reader, as a student, teachers, we are not able to figure out. Thank you, Dr. Moreira. Thank you, Dr. Rabia and Dr. Fahim. Thank you, and keep on organizing such events to educate us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shaheen. His basic training is in law. So coming from this dose of literature and the memo and the film, of course, like it is so, and it always speaks to you. It's not that something like I mean, literature is something I would say that it speaks to everyone.
Yeah.
So on behalf of the department and on behalf of the head of the department, Dr. Faheen, and myself, I would like to, but let me just see what is the question. There's this, they asked this, who's asking this question: existence should precede a sense, or a sense should precede existence, which one can guarantee to us the effective? Well, I think that is a long debate, Mr. Riaz, and I think you can refer to some of our lectures for that. Sense, we discussed it in the last,
Okay.
yeah, when we were discussing Camus, of course.
Ah.
Yeah, so this is a long debate, and I don't think that we have time to open this up at this moment.
Okay, except I'll say I like the idea of effective protection of rights.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's hope for that. And thanks very much. I had a
Thank
wonderful.
you so much. Honor is all ours, Professor Moreira, and I hope to, request you some other time also, if you can just, because that was a very lovely session, very enjoyable, as well as very informative, of course, for all my audience. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here.
We can now. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. So thank you so much, audience, for being here. Where did yes, there.